What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Champ Bobbitt, co-founder of Skyton Academy. This is Steve Bayonne, founder. Listen, this is Connect Wednesdays, episode 96. Tonight, we're not here to speculate. We're here to document history. For the first time, we've got multiple Nasdaq-listed companies that are not just holding XRP, but they're building treasury strategies, global payment systems, stacking infrastructure around it. So this is like super bullish. And I want to bring you guys in on this structural transformation. So before we dive into it, Steve wants to rock you guys real quick. So I'll let him have the floor, and then I got you guys from here. Steve, what's going on, brother?
A lot. Guys, listen, and for the YouTube world, right? Here's what's happening right now in financial space. The United States bond market is in dire trouble. You understand? There's no more buyers for the treasuries. So that means that if no one's buying, this is how the United States is able to effectively do anything to survive. Infrastructure relies on it. The ability for us to keep working relies on it. All things, okay? So I'm watching two speeding trains going at each other fast, okay? And now you have an option. You can stay on the train, and we kind of know what happens when they hit each other. Or you could jump off the train and not be a spectator in it, right? So I'm telling you, this is not the time for you to play defense. This is not the time for you to close your eyes or play small. There's an elephant in the room, and it's been cryptocurrency, blockchain technology, and AI, right? Lean into the technology. And I'm not talking about from an investing standpoint. Let me understand, right? So today, California just has a bill on the floor. It stated that if there's any cryptocurrency, it started with Bitcoin first, but if they're going to say Bitcoin, they're going to say all crypto, right? If there's any cryptocurrency that's left on a blockchain for any more than 3 years, they are going to confiscate. Understand? When we make a deposit into the current banking system right now, it's not considered a deposit. It's considered a loan. What they do is the minute that you put the money into the bank, whether it be through an ATM machine or a teller, they're able to 10x your money immediately, and then they start to lend the money out in various products where they can receive up to upwards of 29% on just credit cards, okay? So you have people running around here collecting debt at high interest because what they need is every bank needs depositors. Where you need to be strategizing is you need to be strategizing in how you get involved in the bond market that they're building right now for average citizens like me and you to benefit off of these bonds that no one else will buy. Okay? 2 years ago, actually 4 years ago, Warren Buffett started to sell off a majority of his stocks. It is a telling sign when Warren Buffett is selling tech stocks. When Warren Buffett is selling bank stocks, he's done this before historically. So what he does is when he sells bank stocks, which he sold to Bank of America, big shareholder, right? He also invested in a company years ago called New Bank out of Brazil, NU Bank. Look it up, okay? So when these guys are telling you that they're not invested in Bitcoin or invested in cryptocurrency, yeah, they're kind of telling the truth, but they're not telling you the full story. What they're invested in is the infrastructure that is moving the currency. So Warren Buffett, Berkshire, is a holder, an active investor in New Bank, which is out of Brazil, which is a digital bank that specializes in what, Champ? Can you hear me, Champ?
Yeah, I can hear you. My bad.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, he was supposed to say cryptocurrency.
My bad. I was doing something. My bad.
All right. So they specialize in cryptocurrency. So again, it's not about what they're telling you, right? It's about what they're doing. So for 3 years, Champ and I sat on the internet, and I mean, we were like damn near begging people to listen to us, right? Still feels like we're yelling in the forest a little bit. But if you can't see this for what it is right now, guys, then not everybody's going to make it, right? Every generation before us had an opportunity to transcend with the Industrial Revolution, right? That's another thing I want you guys to study. And we've done talks on this before where you look at we're on our 4th Industrial Revolution. If you know anything about it, it's a time in society where everything changes. And the one driver from that happened at every revolution, the Industrial Revolution prior to this was one thing, and it was technology. So if we know it's AI, if we know it's cryptocurrency, we know it's blockchain technology, why is it that more of us aren't positioned in this? The United States, it's advancing its efforts into crypto to become a leader in the space. So you guys are in the right room. They're also advancing to be a leader in AI. But here's the problem, guys. If they take the lead in those two sectors, what happens is it's also going to wipe out what we know as the United States and the world economy, meaning there is no more need for a labor force. Understand, most of you on this call probably work for someone, right? Which is not a bad thing. I'm just telling you that that someone may not be positioning the company for the future. If they are, or if they're not, it doesn't matter. AI is going to do what it does. So if they're positioning for the future, they don't need you. If they're not positioning for the future, they don't need them, which means that in essence, you ain't got no job either. So you have to learn to do for self in a new economy. I've been saying for 3 years, and you could check the oldest, go to YouTube, go to the oldest video that we've ever had. And I think we might have an archive one that we didn't even put out. I said there's going to be two classes of people in the future, useful and useless. Take it personal if you want. If you want to be useful, you have to do the work and hold yourself accountable today. If you don't want to do the work, that's fine. It's going to be done for you. Okay? AI still needs prompts. AI has to be told what to do. We had a student last night that dropped some on AI, artificial intelligence, right? He said ancestral intelligence. Carl, you killed it on that one. So it's either you're going to tap into what I know every one of us have, and that's a gift, right? But the biggest thing that I fear is that most people won't land well. And I'm okay with that, right? But what I'm not okay with is me not giving forth everything I have to pour into anybody that I know. And that's what I've been consistently doing. Like my whole life I've been doing this. But when we talk about this mission for the fourth industrial revolution, I don't think there's another community that can drive home the points the way that we drive them home. And Champ and I don't do anything special. What we do is we just connect the news. But because we have time in market and we've been together, we've been in crypto for the last decade, it has took us to India, China, Russia, you name it. It's taken us all across the world, and not in travel, in the form of information. So when you start to see something, the one thing I realized about the United States is we are the leaders in generating ideas, right? So this whole thing was built on the government's back, for sure, Bitcoin. Now, because we're the leaders, what do? You never train the country, because then you got to deal with the backlash. So what they do is they drop the tech around the world and they monitor how the adoption is done, right? It doesn't always make it seem like we're the leader or the forefront, but trust me, the capital market is here. We are the biggest consumers in the world. That's not something to be proud of because we don't produce. So if historically we don't produce, right? And they're looking to make cryptocurrency and AI even just a hub in America. So that means we're going to be the first ones to wipe our own selves out. They're not worried about that. They are looking to privatize every industry. So when Champ and the Academy gives you glint pay, right? Gold at less than, who knows? Gold was what, Champ? And we gave it to them.
Oh man, I think it was like $1,200, $1,300.
$1,300.
Yeah.
Today's current price is what?
Oh, matter of fact, I'm gonna give you the real joint.
No problem. So if anybody in the chat could find it before Champ does, just give me the current price of gold right now. 3,600, 3,500. I'll keep going. So we gave that years ago. We gave a plan. 30 what?
33.91.60.
33.91.60 today. Understand. Here's the play, guys. Because the economy is failing, we have to move to an asset-based society now. Okay? Your everything has to be asset-based, asset-backed. That means banks are going to have to hold gold. Everybody's going to have a reserve. Some people are choosing to have a Bitcoin reserve. Understand, we're going to do an entire talk on Bitcoin maybe next week. And that requires more than a crypto intent, right? Because there's some complexities. We're going to connect the dots to show you that it's a three-legged table ready to be kicked out from under the sun. All right? It is a flight to safety. It is a flight to security. And I said that way before Kathy Woods and Larry Fink said it. It's documented. So what's happening is the United States is going to take that entire day, right? And they're going to back it by gold in Bitcoin and crypto reserves. So what it does is once they inflate the price of Bitcoin, once they inflate the price of gold, which when I talk about the inflation, they're not getting the gold at the price that we're getting. If you could look up the debt clock for me, champ, and just let me know what the price of the 5 and the 10-year yield is on gold, I'm gonna show you the play. So what they do is they sit in a room, all the world leaders, and they say, you know what? We want the price of gold to be 15,000 an ounce, right? So we're getting a measly 3,100. They're getting, champ, give me the number, but they're getting an astronomical amount. So when you place heavy debt behind big assets, it brings the price of the debt down, which could then cool the inflation that we have going on here. The people that are going to be handsomely rewarded are the ones that are going to invest in gold and silver. And guys, by this time, silver should be the play that you should look at right now.
Facts.
You understand? Between all the tooling that's going to go on in the world, all the machinery and things that are needed to build these AI data centers. And Trump has said it out of his own mouth. He was like, silver, we got to bring silver back. Silver is actually more rare and scarce than gold. For the life of me, I don't even know why gold goes up in price like that. It actually does nothing when you think about it. And it's all over the world. It's all over Africa.
It's plentiful. Yep.
It's like it's untapped still. There's still people finding gold reserves everywhere in the world. So I say that to say, if we know what the play is, and you still think that you can work and you save your way to wealth, you're bugging. Every terms and conditions that just came out from the banks, and you can check it. And I told you guys what to do. Go to your bank's website, find the latest terms and conditions, right? Copy, paste the entire thing. I don't expect everybody to read through it. They've dumbed this down, not myself, right? So copy the whole thing, bring it over to ChatGPT, right? Paste it in there. Tell Chat, listen, I want you to find anywhere in here that states digital assets, cryptocurrency, blockchain technology, anything related to the sort, and give me the information and then break down what the information means. Every lending institution, I don't care what it is, whether it's a credit card, it's an auto loan, go look at the terms and conditions. It's happening now. The shift is happening now. The first wave of wealth is going to come between 6 and 12 months. Not even a first shift, because we've been kind of eating in this industry. If you see Bitcoin at $100,000, trust me, dudes were in there and Bitcoin started at what, champ?
0.0006, 6 thousandths of a penny.
So that means if you were to put $100 into this back then, actually don't even do that number, because that might have been impossible to catch. But if you were to put $1,000 or $100 into Bitcoin when it was $1, it'd get you what? 100 Bitcoin.
Mm-hmm.
Multiply 100 Bitcoin by today's current price and tell me what you got.
Current price, where we at? 105. I'll guesstimate 105.
Whatever. Yeah.
So you at 10,500,000.
So that means if you would have put just $100 in, you would have had 100, and that would have gave you just about 1.5 million, right?
Yep.
Okay. That's the power of this technology, guys. That's the power of early investing. That's the same thing that's said with the Coca-Colas, the guys who got in early with the Apples, the Microsofts, everybody's family who was positioned to buy these tech stocks at a low price. The visionary mother and father who sat at the dinner table and said, you know what, yeah, it's $100, whatever, right? Now, what I'm gonna tell you about the Bitcoin situation is there's no way this year Bitcoin can get to $1 million. It is, the technology is not, it's not even possible for the technology to do that. And if it's of store value, this is why I can tell you that Bitcoin is a Ponzi scheme. It is held by paper debt. Trust me on this one. And for you guys who pass it along to a Bitcoin Maxi Pad, when we have our open forum, I'm open to having any one of these guys on the platform. We're going to lay out facts. And then you guys can determine what you want to do. But I'm here to tell you that there's assets right now that are sitting on the blockchain right now that aren't going to be available for you to buy within the next 3 to 6 months. Your ability to purchase a lot of these top assets that are part of the infrastructure, because once they set up the payment rail system, they no longer need Bitcoin anymore. I'm not saying Bitcoin's going to zero. I'm just telling you, at best, maybe 20K. At best, right? Picture this, and then champ, you can have it. If you can wake up every morning and just print money, right? Every morning you can just sit there and just print money. And then you set up this fund. and you allow people to kind of come into it, and you're running the score up every single day because you're printing money. And the money that you're printing is also on debt. So that means that you have to service that money too. At what point can that continue to last to infinity?
It can't.
It's worse than the dollar system that we have today. Bitcoin is a game for the wealthy right now, guys. If you're looking to get into it at 105 or even 90 or 80, if you're anywhere below a 20K entry or even a 30K entry, forget about it. And even if it did go up 10x, so what? It's only $1 million. So that means if you put $100 in and you 10x'd it, like I just did that in a trade today. That's why I tell you it's a game for the wealthy. It's a safety net for them to be able to just take the money out of the monetary system that's failing, for them to diversify into something that most guys aren't playing because they know that they can just kind of reciprocate and keep this what's the Ponzi called? Is it the loop? What's the name of it?
You took what loop?
The tether loop is there's a saying for what the Ponzi's called.
That Bitcoin tether marriage was what I call it. It was what I always coined it.
No, man, my man is off today. I caught you off guard. No, it's a loop. You said it last week too. There's a name for it. When the money goes into tether, then it pumps back into Bitcoin and it comes back out.
Yeah, but that's essentially that's the graphic that I showed, but that's what I call it, the Bitcoin tether marriage. But it's just a non-stop loop. I don't know what you would coin it, but that's the
No. That ain't it. Way ready to it. But my boy does have something ready for y'all with the XRP situation. So go ahead and take that over. So what I'm trying to tell you guys is take the summer off. Trust me when I tell you that. If there's any summer that should be canceled, it's this summer. Right? And when I say take the summer off, meaning put more time into the knowledge. I'm not asking you to stay at the academy. I'm not asking you to, I'm just telling you that you should stay close to the news cycle. You should understand what's happening around your world, in your industry, right? You should be paying attention to what's happening in your kids. If your kids are in college, you're putting them in a terrible situation. And I don't blame the kids, right? I have to blame the adults in the room right now because we are not preparing for our future. So that means that our kids aren't going to be prepared for their future. So in our household, this is the summer of creating. If you were on the members only call yesterday, I told you my son just started a basketball app. It is an accountability app where kids can go on, log on. It'll have all their workouts for the day, things that don't even require weights to be done in their house. He is putting together a reward system to tap in with parents to say, well, you know what, if you do 600 push-ups today and you're honest about it, you can get X one of these gifts, whether it be monetary, time off, vacations, whatever you want to do. Anything that's there to just motivate the younger generation. But what he's not realizing is I'm building him and preparing him for the future because all of this is new to him and he goes to a private school and they're not even positioning the kids properly.
Yeah.
So as a father, as an educator, what I'm working on with my children this summer is probably the biggest thing that I can do to them before I'm not here in the physical anymore. That's the most rewarding part for me in this, not teaching a bunch of adults 2 times a week. I'm just saying, I just love to make sure that the youth is in position. So what I'm asking you guys to do is anything that you learn, I want you to pass it on to somebody else. Definitely somebody younger. Get the kids off the internet. So now what he's starting to do is he's starting to have an appreciation for what it takes to build an app. Right? It's getting him outside of his comfort zone because now he has to ask certain questions. So I'm like, well, shit, you know about it. Why does the alarm go off at that time? So it could remind me. So it could, so do we need an alarm? Yeah, it makes sense. You see what I'm saying? So we're going back and forth. We're like intellectually sparring every day that we touch this app. And whether or not he can make $1 on it, it's going to be something that him and I are going to utilize every day this summer and every year till whenever. But I told him, I said, listen, the play is really to put it out. We got to give it to your friends. And then we got to grow it to the bigger community. Then we have to give it to your trainers. And who knows? If I'm sitting on a $10 million app idea, he's got to be sitting on a $10 million app idea because there's a lot more kids that need the structure.
Yeah.
Produce more, consume less. That's it.
One more
Love.
time. One more time. Hold on. You got a mic drop that one.
Produce more, consume less. Don't be dumb. Don't overcomplicate it. Grab him by the neck, champ. Snap it.
Yo, I got you on that. Nah, you killed that. You smoked that. All right, so I'm glad Steve kind of went into the Bitcoin marriage, the infinity loop, whatever you want to call it, and he showed you guys that coin does nothing. But I'm going to show you what's happening around the world. I don't like to look at things from just the United States aspect because crypto is global. This is a global market. That means everybody everywhere can interact and engage in this market, right? They can invest in it. They can build things in this, all things considered. And I started to consider what was happening with big behemoths in different areas of the world. So I'm going to connect some dots tonight in true fashion of Dot Connect 96. All right, so you guys see how MicroStrategy, the company here in the United States, that's Michael Saylor's company, you see how they were hoarding Bitcoin, right? And you had politicians and a lot of people that was just kind of championing the whole Bitcoin reserve strategy, just Bitcoin by itself, right? You heard that. But then there were other assets that Trump mentioned. But there were other assets that have always been here before Trump got into office, right? They always had utility. They were always building. They were laying the groundwork and the infrastructure that was needed for what's happening right now. So today I'm going to walk you guys through real life history, and this is being documented. Today is June 4th, 2025. All right, so right out the gate, you've got a company called Vivo Power. I want you guys to remember this. This is the biggest dot of tonight and arguably of XRP's modern history. So Vivo Power International, this is a Nasdaq-listed sustainable energy company, right? So they're all about green transactions, just lower carbon credits and all that good stuff, right? And they just announced a $121 million XRP acquisition. Not speculation. This is not rumor mill. This is fact, right? But this is as the foundation of the corporate treasure strategy. Now, these guys are literally the first publicly listed company to structure an entire treasury reserve around XRP, the digital asset. Now, just for all intents and purposes, I know there are some people that don't have a clue what that is. I'm not going to go into the details. We got you guys on a crypto and 10 for that. But Ripple is the company that is centralized, that utilizes the digital asset XRP in its tech stack and in its product offerings. All right. Ripple company XRP asset. All right. And I'm not talking about Bitcoin, not Ethereum, but XRP. This is my favorite digital asset. Now, here's the dot that makes this seismic. All right. The acquisition is being funded by the Saudi prince. I'll probably butcher his name, but I'm gonna try it anyway, just for grins and giggles. All right. Abdulaziz bin Turki Al Saud. So he's
You know, I could do a better job with that name, right?
bro, you probably got me. I probably butchered that joint, but so he's injecting, and this is formal, right? So he actually himself came out and made this announcement. He was basically stating that he's injecting 100 million through a private placement. So this isn't a private investor. This is the prince himself. This is his, structure, his team, and they've been a long time XRP holder. And they recently met with Donald Trump during a visit to Saudi Arabia. If you guys remember this, this was probably, I want to say maybe within the last month or so. He went over to the Middle East. He got investments from Saudi, Dubai, and it was another quote unquote Middle Eastern country. It escapes me right now, but it'll come back to me. Essentially, he was able to get damn near $5 trillion in investment capital, right? So this is a geopolitical signal that this move isn't just financial. This is a diplomatic move. right? And we've all been holders of XRP. Steve and I have been telling you guys about this since the beginning of time, right? Since before we even had Skyton Academy. Now, when these type of moves materialize and they come full circle, it's rewarding to hear it because this is something that we've seen super long ago. That time and market thing is vital, and you're getting it from two giants, Steve and Champ. Now, the focus on Vivo Power, this is all going to be on the XRP ledger. This is going to align the XRP ledger's vision along with Vivo Powers. And what they're going to do is contribute fully to the digital economy. What they're trying to achieve is going to be they want damn near all transactions to be done on the XRP ledger. So the Saudi prince, he came out and said he wants, and this is something that he's strong about, and anything that he said that he envisions, he likes to bring to reality. He said, I want all fines to be paid in digital assets. I want residents all around the world who come to be able to pay for their hotel stays, to buy coffee, to buy property, to buy land, etc. He wanted it all done in digital assets. Here's the kicker. He said he wanted this done in the next 2 years. Do you understand how close that is? And that's not where it just stops. So joining the Vivo Power board as a chairman is a gentleman named Adam, right? Adam Tradman. He's the former executive that's over at SBI Ripple in Asia. Now, this is a direct link. So I just connected Saudi Arabia, Ripple the company, XRP the asset, and then you got SBI, which is the largest holder of XRP, period. That's a dot connect. Now, this direct linkage to Ripple Asia Pacific, this is a strategy. What you're watching is Ripple's global institutional rollout take shape in real time, right? And to manage this acquisition, Vivo Power, they partner with a cryptocurrency exchange, BitGo. This is one of the most respected, regulated, and battle-tested custodians in the digital asset space today, right? And then here's the next dot. BitGo isn't just holding wallets. They're actually powering this with an infrastructure called CrossX, and they're integrating it into Hidden Road. This is one of the most powerful prime brokers in the industry. Guess who just acquired Hidden Road for 1.2 billion? Ripple. This isn't just a company buying XRP on Coinbase or any other crypto exchange. This is Wall Street grade infrastructure being executed, highly coordinated, fully compliant, long-term XRP reserve planning, all wrapped up in one. And it's happening today, right now. This completely shifts the narrative away from Bitcoin's dominance into this corporate treasury playbook situation that they're building. This proves that XRP and a couple other assets, which we'll save those for another day, they're all now being treated as a utility first, enterprise grade reserve asset. This is on par with fiat, gold, and sovereign level vehicles, bonds, stocks, etc. Right? This doubles back to what Steve was just telling you. Bitcoin itself is damn near, it's a Ponzi. It's no other way to say it. It's a Ponzi. It's just being marketed effectively. So people are using it and you hear it everywhere that you turn. But what you don't hear is this type of news being brought to you with the same level of attention and regard that Bitcoin is. That's on purpose. So you right now are getting a signal from Champion Steve at Skyton Academy. We're telling you what's happening in real time, not just here in the United States, but around the world. All right. And this is the signal I promise you guys have all been waiting for. Now that we touched on Saudi, oh, you know what? Let me give you guys a receipt real quick. Just in case. You know what I mean? I'm being doubted. So let me share my screen real quick. I want to show y'all something. All right, come on, come on, come on. All right, Steve, give me a thumbs up if you can see this. All right, my guy, appreciate you. All right, so look, I went into the archives and I dug this up. What does this say? Saudi Arabia Central Bank signs a blockchain deal with who? Ripple. Look at this date. February 15th, 2018. Hello. Are y'all paying attention out there? And it don't stop there, right? So this was the partnership where they launched, this was a pilot program with Saudi's actual central bank. Check this out. Fast forward, August 17th, 2023. The Central Bank of Saudi teams up with Ripple to transform cross-border settlements. Now, here's the connection point. Here's the piece that a lot of people will just truly won't understand. When you first are working with a government is nothing but a larger enterprise. It's a big business, right? That's how you have to look at it. Now, when you have these big countries that are all working with one another, they're doing the same thing that we do as retail investors, right? When you go to a store, you see something that you want, you purchase it, you pay for it, you pay the taxes, whatever the case is, you take your goods, they take their money, transaction finished, you're out the door, right? Now, think of it in a larger scale, government to government. They're not going into a store. They're communicating with one another. One country has something that the other country needs, right? And you want to do a transaction, but you want this to be fast, effective, efficient, and you want it to be cheap as possible. That involves one, communication, but extreme infrastructure. This is the infrastructure that you guys I'm talking about, right? This is it. This was the first iteration of it back in 2018. This is 2025. That was 7 years ago. 7 years ago, they was working on this. It says right here, the pilot program is the first of its kind launched by a central bank. So Ripple innovated this. Now fast forward to today, you got a company out of China called Weebus that officially filed with the SEC for 300 million XRP treasury management. This is the 6K form right here. This is the proof. This is the actual form that you can pull up at the SEC that shows you this is legitimate. And this is what they're agreeing to do. And you see it here, Weebus. This is all right now in your faces. So when we say .Connect Wednesdays, this is what we mean by .Connect Wednesdays. We're going to connect the dots to show you guys, if you pay attention to the information, you get the data, you are sitting in the front row. All you have to do is act and move. So I'm going to go into who Weebus is real quick because I want to talk about this. This is crazy. This is the first of its kind. And if that first news with Vivo Power wasn't big enough, then this Weebus is as well. Now, Weebus is also Nasdaq listed, and they're playing for even bigger stakes. So Vivo Power was doing 121 million. Weebus is doing 300 million, right? And they got plans. So with this Chinese company, they're going to build a corporate XRP reserve strategy. They're going to integrate Ripple payment infrastructure into their daily operations. And they're also going to deploy the capital towards long-term XRPL-based growth. The filing I just showed you guys is 100% public. You can pull it up on your own. I will provide it in the description under the YouTube link, under the YouTube video. And most importantly, guys, that's transparency. I've easily shown it to you, but you guys can go and pull it up yourself. So now you know that this isn't something that I'm just pulling a rabbit out of the hat. And most importantly, this is regulator approved. The dots here matter because they confirm this is not like some rogue company that's just randomly operating and they're trying to make side deals and backdoor deals in various countries. This is a Chinese technology firm that operates under US financial compliance, and they're executing on XRP powered payment plans across borders. Let that sink in. You got a Chinese-based NASDAQ firm raising United States capital to implement Ripple payments and XRP reserves with the SEC's thumbs up. This is global geopolitical infrastructure. The big question that some people might ask, well, if Bitcoin, everything was about Bitcoin, why would they choose XRP? Because XRP offers something that Bitcoin and Ethereum could never. Instant settlement, fraction of a cent transaction cost, regulatory clarity through RippleNet. You got a fiat bridge compatibility with over 70 plus markets. And Weebus knows this, and they're going to integrate this every single possible way that they can. They already came into this with a plan, and now they're putting their capital alongside the plan. This is what you call real world functionality. Now, these corporations,
Let me add.
go ahead.
No, finish that one, and let me connect one more dot on that one to really drop the point.
I bet. All right. So now with these guys doing so, the corporations itself, they value utility over just generalized speculation. Bitcoin right now is exactly generalized speculation. They're only going based off its previous history. But the past it isn't always indicative of what's going to happen in the future. Right? So XRP, these utility projects that we always been telling you guys about that solve real world problems, these are the new benchmarks. We're telling you guys ahead of time. And if you're new here, you're welcome. Steve, you got it.
So just to piggyback off of what he said, right? Let me show you how the common citizens are being rocked to sleep, right? So in China, they escalated the crypto crackdowns, right? It went from a crypto crackdown to a full ownership ban. Now, here's the part that they don't tell you. China has a Bitcoin reserve of about 194,000 Bitcoins, right? Okay. So there's restrictions in China. So in 2013, it was when China first started to do the crackdown. China has always stated that cryptocurrency and digital assets are a threat to the financial system. Understand? Okay. So this is coming out of Beijing now. So in 2013, they started the crackdown. In 2017, they escalated to a ban on all ICOs. ICO is what? An initial coin offering. The United States did the same thing. And they banned local exchanges. So there is no local exchanges in China. In 2019, they intensified it even more, right? So it went from a crackdown to a ban to new restrictions in crypto. So this is crypto services now.
Wow.
So in 2021, they drove out all the miners out of the country. This is what gave the United States some access to get hold of that mining game. Listen, proof of work, proof of stake, Champ's been telling you that shit don't work. You understand? Right. But again, this is a flight to safety and a flight to security. So common citizens in China can't transact in cryptocurrency. Take it over to Asia, another part. South Korea. A few years ago, South Korea came out with an exchange ban. They told the exchanges they had a certain amount of time to follow these particular guidelines to stay active. And one of them was you had to partner with a local bank. It knocked off about 90% of the exchanges that came out of South Korea. Every country has been intensifying the pressure to make sure that their financial system doesn't go to fall, right? These are countries that actually control their financial system. The United States has a tight grip on people too, right? Because how many people in this room?
Just at 100.
All right, so we're close. We're getting close. How many people in America?
Oh man,
we're almost there. So y'all get the point, right? We're nowhere near. No one's even paying attention. So if anything, the United States citizens tend to put restrictions and bans in their own mind because we're too busy being busy, right? So if every country is lining up the financial structure to make sure that their citizens, one, don't get access to these cryptocurrencies and create their own independence, two, to make sure that you look that way when they're looking that way, right? Because that's what the news media is doing right now.
Right.
They got y'all fooled because everything you hear when you say cryptocurrency, what does my mom turn around and say? Hey, how's Bitcoin doing? I'm like, Mom, stop. I'm gonna record her one day and I'm gonna play it back. Every single time, it never fails. It's not her fault. She doesn't know. But think about it. That's the psyop in it.
Yep.
For someone who doesn't know, and if you said cryptocurrency, what's the next word that anybody would say?
Bitcoin.
Bitcoin.
Yep.
It's obvious.
Yep. That's marketing. That's
So
brand.
again, look at what every country is doing, emerging countries. And if you guys really want to study the play, you just go to India, because this year, who was the country that led? How many G's is it now? G10? What is it now?
So you got the G20, you got the G7. Yeah.
Okay, G's is dumb. Either way, India's taking lead on this, right? They're
Yep.
the ones in essence setting up the framework for the entire world. Now let's pivot to another country that's doing some wild shit. Israel. So
Mm.
Israel calls on the powers to be. That's the banking system. Okay, that's the Zionist banking cartel. Can we say that on YouTube?
Hey, it happened. It is what it is.
Well, fact check it. Fact checks one away, right?
Right.
So you got the Zionist banking cartel. So when they effectively started the war, not even a war, it's a genocide now, right? At this point, like, come on, guys, it is what it is, right? So what they did was they went to every exchange and they said, we want you to shut down everybody who owns crypto in these particular IP addresses. Can you guess that do you think the exchanges did it or they did?
They did it.
So that means people who can't effectively gain access to a bank that had cryptocurrency that was anywhere near Palestine right now cannot effectively use their cryptocurrency. Do you think that's a possibility now when California is slowly creeping in and saying, hey, if anything sits on an exchange for more than 3 years, we can take the asset back? And they said Bitcoin. So if things are supposed to be decentralized and immutable and stuff like that, how are they able to confiscate things? Champ, did they not confiscate Bitcoin before from an exchange called Mt. Gox?
Absolutely.
Did anybody know how they were able to do that? And what was the main thing that was traded on Mt. Gox?
Arms,
No. I'm just saying
people.
the main cryptocurrency that was used on that exchange is what?
Oh, it was Bitcoin.
So somehow the government was able to confiscate Bitcoin. California is able to confiscate Bitcoin after 3 years of it sitting on the exchange without having to reach out to anybody. It's called personal property confiscation.
Wow.
Bitcoin again. Bitcoin again. So at any point, even if you did grow a war chest in Bitcoin, at any point, any government with the rules and parameters that they set into place can do and confiscate your Bitcoin. So who built the technology?
They did.
Okay.
Yeah, the alphabets. They did.
So they can confiscate the Bitcoin, right? They've confiscated the Bitcoin before. How are they pulling it off if they don't have access to the source code?
Somebody got some explaining to do.
So even if you're well positioned in Bitcoin, I could tell you that you might want to look a little deeper into the white paper. And it's crazy because people bring up this white paper situation, but God damn it, anybody could write a white paper.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
The Bible was written by man. So the white paper was written by Satoshi Nakamoto, and it's supposed to be this one thing that's supposed to transcend the financial system and give people independence in the world that's controlled by a few.
No way.
It's not even don't be dumb. It's like don't be fucking dumb. All right, good.
Nah, you smoking this, man. Nah, I needed that. I needed that
Because
energy.
it's just too obvious. Like it's just too obvious. I'm just stating the obvious. No one talks like this, right?
Nah, nobody.
It's only called truth, guys. I'm just telling you this now. I've looked at the data before, not the white paper data. That's skewed.
Yeah.
I could tell you anything. You have to still fact check it against other things, not the data that I'm giving you. Yo, man. I don't want anybody to get hurt in cryptocurrency, but when London Bridge comes falling down, that's going to be the biggest Connect episode ever.
Man.
Straight up. I got every receipt. I got every screenshot from every influencer that's out there right now. And if I'm wrong, then I got my own shit and I'll apologize.
Yep.
But if I do a I told you so tour, it's not going to be against the common person. It's going to be against that particular asset.
Yep.
What else you got?
Man.
Nah, you No, you could definitely you cooking.
Nah, listen, I don't even know how I'm supposed to follow up, but we just gonna keep Dot connected.
All right.
So here's another nugget, right? So I'm looking at the connection between the first two. The main connection was okay, these new companies are coming. Well, they're not even new companies, but they were just new to the masses, right? You had Vivo Power, and then you had WeBus. And I never really heard of them whatsoever. So I had to do my own research. As I'm looking and I'm connecting, I'm like, what do they have in common? First thing that is here in the United States is the major focus, right? If you have a major company that's publicly traded, what is it on? The Nasdaq, right? So I'm like, all right, bet. That's the connection piece. So I start looking, I start digging. All right, Nasdaq. What else is happening right now with stocks? You got BlackRock. They did their ETFs. I'm like, hold on. They just had the first US XRP futures ETF that's now traded on the Nasdaq. This is the institutional gateway now, right? So we're shifting to traditional finance from crypto. Crypto is the future of finance, but traditional finance is going to be your stocks, your bonds, etc. This is Wall Street. We've been waiting for Wall Street to formally and officially open the door so everybody in the future of finance can walk through it and then create synergies, right? In the back end, there was multiple companies that were already working with cryptos. They just, for the life of them, had signed NDAs. They had companies sign NDAs. They would not talk about it. So you had to do what we're doing right now. You had to connect the dots. You had to read, research, and you just had to kind of be in the know, right? Now, this first US XRP futures ETF being live now on NASDAQ, this gives the approval to invest 80% of assets into XRP futures and XRP linked financial products. Now, this is insane. 80% of assets. This is the moment. You remember when we kept saying that this is going to be the greatest wealth transfer ever? Follow me. So it gives institutions regulated exposure to XRP itself without needing wallets. They don't need keys. They don't need on chain access. They don't need nothing, right? Because this is giving them exposure. Remember, these are ETFs. I'm not telling you guys to invest in ETFs. I'm just explaining something to you. It legitimizes XRP by itself, the digital asset, as a derivative eligible asset. This means options, futures, complex strategies that can now be built all around this one digital asset. The same way they tried to legitimize Bitcoin and they did the same thing with the IBIT ETFs and all that. Now think about it. They're doing it with an asset that is used by a company that they had in litigation for the last 4 years. That's finally coming to a close. I wish they would hurry up, right? But this removes all technical friction that's held back pension funds, family offices, index funds, venture capitalists, whatever, from having 100% exposure to this digital asset specifically, right? No other one. But more importantly, the ETF could not have launched without legal clarity on XRP's classification. So that was one of the puzzle pieces that was needed. We got that, check. Now we got the institutional grade liquidity partners. Think about this. You got custodians, you got Coinbase, you got Hidden Road, you've got BitGo, you've got just all of these Robinhood. You just got all of these random institutions around the world, not even just in the United States. They were waiting on liquidity to be freed up, capital to be able to kind of flow into these markets. Now we're going to pair traditional with the future of finance, and it's happening right now. It's live right now. NASDAQ's internal risk framework signed off. It's done. This is a complete shift. So XRP is no longer, you can't even think about it like, it's still in a lawsuit. The litigation is pretty much done. They're waiting on us, one specific, and that's institutional institutional sales, right? That has nothing to do with the digital asset. That part of it is done. Check. Now we're talking about Wall Street traded instruments with the future of finance. MicroStrategy bet its future, its livelihood, its complete existence solely on Bitcoin. I seen an interview with Michael Saylor today. He said, we're going to continue to buy Bitcoin, period. He said, there is no stopping point. And even when it gets outpriced, we're still going to become even more efficient to buy more Bitcoin. Do you understand why he always will tell you the same thing? Leverage the house, leverage your life, give blood, give plasma, just all kinds of crazy stuff. It sounds wild. It's brilliant when the price goes up, right? But when this thing collapses, it's cooked. And you have other digital assets that are literally, you see it right now. They're being invested in. They're being held as treasury assets. They're taking the taxes and the capital gains tax off of these assets, all on purpose. This is the playbook, literally available in your face. Can't say it no other way. So now think about this. The ETF is going to bring in brand new buyers, which means brand new capital, right? New inflows without ever touching cryptocurrency exchanges. That is going to dilute the supply, right? So now you're going to have a price shock. Then it's going to increase price discovery on a bunch of these digital assets on top of validating the network that you're using right now, like the XRP ledger. This thing has never had downtime, period. So this brings me to, I, I think just when you sit back and you're not so consumed with all of the finite details, I'm a detail person, I'm a data person, right? But when you're not consumed with those little intricacies and you just sit back, you can see it clear as day. All of these institutions, all of these governments, you may hear in the news them mention Bitcoin and the utilization or them having some kind of treasury for it, right? That's intentional. You're being marketed to. You're being told to go this way. In the background, they're not telling you this. This is verifiable information. I just showed you guys the submission to the SEC. You can't fake that. And this is happening all over the world with multiple governments that are dealing with billions and trillions of dollars. And they're literally telling you that they're about to invest over $421 million in two companies, just two, in reserve assets. But I ain't done. I just want to let you guys know that the money is coming. The floodgates are opening. I really, truly hope you guys are in position and ready. And anybody that's outside in YouTube world, if you're looking for a home, you got to come to Skyton Academy. You can get this information anywhere from anybody. It's not going to be delivered like this. And then what we did was, I'll get into this a little later, but we even lowered the barrier to entry. So we're going to keep making this easy for you guys to just say, you know what? I got to stop playing with myself. I got to stop playing with my potential and I got to pay attention to what's happening in front of me because the world is not going to stop. And we're going to keep showing up doing these live calls to tell you guys that crypto is happening right now. So when everybody said that it was a scam and it was just nonsense, we was pushing it. We was showing you exactly facts, figures, key information that will, push you guys over the edge. All right. Now I'm gonna give you this last little piece and then we'll wrap it up. So I went on today, right? I did my normal check. It's Connect Wednesday. So this is like one of my favorite days out the week. So I go check and see what the price of cryptos are right now, what's happening in the market. And I just see, there's some red. We're at a 3.29 trillion market cap. I'm like, okay, that's cool. We up 11%. It's not looking too bad, but there's just a sea of red going on. So I go on to Coinbase because I hear some chatter on Twitter about Coinbase. So I go to verify it myself. And this is the most retail impacting update for today. Coinbase officially enabled XRP staking. This is a huge disclaimer I need you guys to understand. This is not financial advice. We are not financial advisors. We do not advise with staking. You guys are free to do whatever it is that you want to do, but all of the Skyton Academy students understand why we say that you shouldn't stake, right? Period. On the surface, it sounds completely simple, but in broader context, I want you guys to understand what's happening. This is proof of institutional confidence. You've got Coinbase, who's been under intense regulatory pressure for years, right? They are, in essence, in bed with the government. There's no way around it, right? This is the major exchange of the United States. For those of you who are watching from any other parts of the world, regular Coinbase is a big US exchange. Now, they don't just roll out any kind of new staking options or new products without having deep legal due diligence that has to be done, right? Especially when it comes to XRP, because they were one of the first exchanges to delist it before anything ever happened with the lawsuit. They just immediately delisted it, right? They just tried to get out the way. But that let me know that they were already in bed. But fast forward to today, XRP can now be staked. You can now earn yield on your XRP, and it's integrated into a regulated exchange that is the biggest exchange in the United States. So this tells me that Coinbase is now taking a different stance on XRP, and they're fully cleared for mainstream adoption. Like, this move incentivizes holding over trading. That is a strategy that is not for the weak, but you are supposed to hold your digital assets because you are here early before the rest of the world. Now, this is going to reduce the circulating supply. This means the amount of cryptos of XRP itself that are out for consumption, whether it be on exchanges, over-the-counter desks, etc., right? And as more people begin to hold on to their XRP and they lock it up for yield or whatever the case is, this is going to reduce that amount that's available to the masses. So people are doing what's called dollar cost averaging or DCAing, and they're buying XRP to have and put on their cold storage wallets. But now that you have yield for it, even if XRP didn't move, you're still able to earn yield for having it on certain platforms. Again, I'm not telling you guys to do this, I'm just telling you this is information. Now, this is giving you guys literally a compliant pathway, not only for retail, but for institutions to be able to get in on that staking economy. And that's how a lot of people are able to yield money. You know what I mean? They're able to create greater returns, right? And this sets the foundation for future use, future utility. So tokenized assets, real world assets that are going to be on the XRP ledger, smart contracts, staking protocols with different blockchains. You've got treasury diversification where people can still generate yield. Like, this is all happening, but this move all sparked on Coinbase. So now you just enacted a passive income layer. And this is going to add yet another pillar to the value proposition that exists. So at the end of the day, guys, this industry is materializing. It's happening rapidly. It's not going to slow down. I can't say that.
Let me grab something for that Coinbase situation.
Talk to him.
What you guys have to understand is he said a key word there that I don't think you guys understand, right? They don't know what yield is, because the yield is what old money looks for.
Okay. Break it down for him.
Okay. So that's a product that old money loves, to make money on money without having to do much for it. Just parking. You understand? So that's not a benefit to us at the end of the day. It's a benefit to you if you have full ownership over the set asset and it's not locked up. Because I know personally people that have hit me to say, listen, I got this Ethereum on Coinbase and I can't get it off. And I'm like, oh, you staked it. And they're like, yeah. I'm like, all right, but did you read the terms and conditions? They like, yeah. I'm like, all right, well, they're going to hold it for a set amount of time. So that means you can't borrow against the asset. You don't have possession of it. In exchange, what they're giving you is a yield. So a yield is a great thing because what it introduces old money, old wealth.
Yes, sir.
So if a majority of the wealth is being held by the baby boomers, this is the exact product that is made for them. It's the exact product that's made for them. because all they care about is yield. That's for people who already have wealth. What we're teaching you is how to get to that point to be able to accumulate wealth, to then put it inside of these institutional products to collect yield, because putting a $2 million versus $2,000 is a big difference.
Absolutely.
You're at the party, but you're not really at the same table.
I mean, at the crap table with them.
Yeah, you're at the game, but your seats are kind of like the guys look like this. Where we sit, the guys look like this. See the difference? And then Champ knows, and then there's still more access, right, Champ? There's people that get even closer to the action. And I'm not talking about watching at home on the Oculus either. That doesn't count. That's artificial. So, God, you dropped a lot of shit in today. Wow.
Yeah, this was dope. I'm glad you came. I'm glad you jumped on to the call. Pause. This is it.
So when you stake with these guys, they lock it up, which is only fair. And I'm talking about for a couple years. So that means if the price goes up and you want access to your stuff, oh man, you got a little 9% coming back a year, whatever they're giving you, you have to understand that they benefit off of it because there's a staking rate and then there's fees they make off of whatever is made on top of it. It all sounds like a Ponzi to me too, but I'm just starting to realize that the whole financial system is just a Ponzi scheme. The only difference with this scheme right here is I'm at the table.
Right.
And I'm not just a mere spectator in this shit. I'm damn near an originator. I bought in another big ass gun that's damn near an originator. And then we took it and we brought it to the culture, something that nobody does. And now we got a $1 trial for 1 month. I'm just begging us to close this wealth gap, please. It changes everything when you don't have to wake up and ask somebody, can I go to the bathroom? Sir, can I take a lunch break? When can I get a vacation? I'm on maternity leave. I gotta come back. Stop with the nonsense. If you don't ask for permission, you could never get a no.
Facts.
I don't need a religious exemption. It just is what it is. No, I'm not asking you, can I do something?
Let's go.
We built this community not only for financial independence, but for freedom. If you're not about that, get up out of here, man.
Mm-hmm.
I just want an army of people who could think for themselves, an army of people that can think collaboratively. So when we bring the wealth together, when we bring the not asking for permission together, it becomes a stronger institution. And that's what we lack in our community is institutions. I'm not here to take the charge on this shit. I'm just here to just charge up everybody. Fuck, man, let's go. Take us out.
Listen, man, here's what we connected tonight. We had the Nasdaq-listed Vivo Power deploying its 121 million into XRP. WeBus filing their SEC documentation for the 300 million for XRP reserves. You had Wall Street launching the first XRP ETF, now trading on Nasdaq, and then now Coinbase is going live with XRP staking. Together, these are not isolated events. They're pieces of the new global financial system. The new institutional financial layer is being built around XRP and the XRP ledger, right? This is not a Bitcoin model of hoarding. This is an XRP model of deployment, movement, and programmable liquidity. So, with all that being said, it's here. The time is now. And now the real question is, are you positioned for what's next? Now, for everybody out there in YouTube land, I want you guys to like, share, comment, subscribe, turn your notifications on. Every Wednesday, 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, same time we're here. Now, if you want to take it a step further and you're serious about leveling up your crypto, personal development, professional growth, AI mastery, Skyton Academy is your home. We welcome you guys with open arms. And right now, you guys can join for $1 for your first month. Yes, 4 quarters, full access to complete library of courses, masterclasses, live calls across every pillar. And then after that, it's just $50 a month. No fluff. We do facts, frameworks, future-proofing your education. So we want you guys to stay ahead of the curve. The link is in the description below. Use the promo code, lock in, and let's build and let's win together. This is officially the wrap of Connect Wednesdays 96. We'll see you guys next week. Peace.